Village Board meeting Tuesday, June 10th. If we'd all stand, we'll have Mike Costa, or Trustee Costa lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee Gazebo?
Present.
Trustee Kajanis?
Present.
Trustee Sable? Present. Trustee Keith?
Present.
Trustee Yukich?
Present.
Mayor Daley?
Present. This would be D. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, I do.
Go right ahead, Trustee Sabo.
I would like to remove for further consideration items 12, 13, and 14.
12, 13, 14. What would that be for?
That would be for Java Gels.
No, but I mean, for what consideration?
I don't see enough information in here to, I think we need some more information before we continue, before we vote on this. Maybe this could be a workshop item. I would just like to have proof that this is, has met the liquor license requirements.
Trustee Sabo is making a motion to remove from the agenda, let me think here, it's H 12, 13, 14. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Sui seconds it. Madam Clerk, please.
Discussion.
Okay, discussion. Go. Hold on, no, this is for a table.
No, it's not to table it, it's just to take it off the consent agenda, right?
Yeah.
You want
No,
to take
it's
this
not
off
a
the
consent-
consent?
It's an
It's not a
action
consent
item.
agenda.
This
It's an
isn't, I
action
don't think
item.
this is a consent.
No, it isn't a consent agenda.
No, I just want to...
It's legislation.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, what is the motion to do?
She wants to take it off legislation because she wants further, more information on 12, 13, 14.
Okay, so it's not to table it, so you can have all the discussion you want to take it.
Okay, go right ahead, discussion.
Well, before we vote, I'd like to ask the trustee, what information do you feel is remiss, or what information you have not received? I believe this petitioner has gone through various steps in this village over many months, and this petitioner has been a subject of conversation for many months. So at this juncture, what is it that you feel is remiss?
What I feel is that it's lacking information. I don't see any proof in there that they have actually met the criteria for an A license. And so it's important to evaluate that and make sure. And seeing is believing.
If I may, the protection device in this is that if they don't comply with the ordinance, they don't get an occupancy permit. So we have an ordinance that they have to comply with. They've submitted to the Plan Commission, they've gotten to this point, and I don't see why we're holding them up.
Because I don't see the proof in what the board has been given. That's why.
What proof? I'm not following what proof. Their build-out will take place after they get a license to do so. And if it doesn't comply with the way the ordinance is written, they will not be given an occupancy permit to open business.
I don't see that I don't really know what they're doing. I mean, I don't see the menu, I don't see a plan layout for their property, you know, what they plan to do within the building, that's what I don't see. I mean, I think we should see everything before it comes to a vote.
Okay, well, that's Trustee Sable's opinion. Trustee Kay Janice, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, you know, in the past, we had certain protocols, and I believe the protocol in this packet as it's based in the past, is met as far as information coming forward. We have had this information in front of us now for many months. If any other further information that was desired or needed to be rendered to a certain trustee or to the board, we had plenty of opportunity to format the question to staff before it ever got even to the planning commission stage where the case was presented and reviewed and voted on before it was brought forward to us. And this petitioner has had the petition out here for quite some time now, so I believe there was ample time. I believe in due diligence, but I also believe in an opportunity for the petitioner to be heard.
Well, my point is that it has gone through a process, but when it comes to the board, we don't have all the information about it, and that's what I feel that is lacking, and that's what I feel we need before we vote on something.
I tend to disagree with you. The space is way above the requirement for the space. Simply Salsa formerly had this space that has a kitchen in it. The petitioner is here to get a thumbs up or thumbs down. Now, we've heard, discussion on this as to whether or not to remove it from the agenda. If there's nothing further to be said, I would like the clerk to call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Nay.
Trustee DeVivo?
Okay,
We're voting on whether or not to take it off the legislation.
so a nay is not to take it.
Right.
Yes, okay, nay.
Trustee Janice?
Nay.
Trustee Sable?
Yes.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Nay.
Okay, motion fails to take it off legislation. It remains on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Okay. Are there any further amendments to the agenda?
Can I, yes, Mayor.
Go right ahead.
It is in reference to H12, 13, and 14, and I wanted to know, why do we have this order where we are talking and approving as the first H12 hours? I would think that should be after we discuss whether they obtain the Class A liquor license. I'm saying it should have been flip-flop around, maybe?
No, I think all three of them, work together. This is the way we do.
Well, they work together, but the first one
This
is
is the way
about
we've done.
hours.
This is the way we've done it in the past. And the village attorney doesn't have any issue with it.
Okay.
This is what I recall the sequence to have been in with respect to prior liquor licenses.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other amendments or this discussion about amendments to the agenda? All right, then we'll move on. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of March 11, 2014 meeting?
So moved.
First by trustee K. Janice,
Second.
second by trustee DeVivo. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Okay, we're talking about March 11th?
March 11th, yes.
Okay, on page 5, on page 5, my question is about the lumens per acre, existing conditions for building and site lighting, 737,000 lumens per acre. And then they say they reduced it 80%. This is what they said. I'm not finding fault with the minutes because, but what I wanted to do was, when the time comes, I'm going to, I vote yes on the minutes, but I want to qualify my vote because, and have it in the minutes that I question the 737,000 lumens per acre as presented by McDonald's, and to also question that they actually reduced it by 80%.
Okay, let the record reflect that. Okay, so there's a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the April 8th, 2014 meeting?
So moved.
First by trustee, who was that, Donna Costa?
I second.
Second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay, this portion of the meeting is reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. I'll start it out. Remembering Lockport resident Andrew Mazza. As many of you know, there was a terrible car accident on Bell Road, south of 143rd Street on Saturday, May 31st. That accident resulted in the loss of Andrew Mazza's life. On behalf of the village board, I want to extend our condolences to the family and friends of Andrew. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Mazza family. Under the annual MAD event, this past weekend I attended the Walk Like Mad 5K walk held at the Township Healing Garden. The walk commemorated all those who have lost their lives as victims of drunk driving. It was a beautiful but solemn affair. The family of Kevin Baines, a Homer Glen resident, was present, and I had an opportunity to speak with them. This year's Walk Like Mad event occurred on Kevin's birthday. He would have been 24 this year. Kevin was only 19 when he was killed by a drunk driver in December of 2009. Kevin's family and friends continue to mourn his death, and each year they gather with the Mothers Against Drunk Driving to work on their campaign to eliminate the tragedies that occur as a result of the drunk driving. That was a very sad event that I attended. Quite a few people showed up, and it was held at the Healing Garden. Under Economic Development Update, Le Crepe Bistro expansion. Recently, the owners of Le Crepe Bistro received a building permit that will allow them to expand their business into the adjoining space south of their location. The expansion has resulted in the business having an additional 1,400 square feet in which they can serve more patrons who frequent this popular restaurant. I'm happy to hear how well Le Crepe Bistro is doing, and also happy to report that the shopping center they are located in is now fully occupied. Under Myers, I know that we're getting very close to the official opening of the Homer Glen Myers store. My family, along with other Homer Glen families, are excited to begin shopping at our very own Myers store. Today, the tankers loaded in all the gas at the gas station. We welcome Myers again to our community. Under Erin Hills Park dedication, next month the village will be dedicating our third and newest public park in Erin Hills subdivision. Trustee DeVivo will have additional details to share under her report. Under village drainage improvements, I've asked Mike Salamovich, the village development service director, to give an update later tonight on the status of all of the village's drainage improvements. Finally, roadway construction project updates. The 143rd Street and Lamont Road intersection project being constructed jointly by the Village of Homer Glen and the Will County Department of Highways is underway. Currently, the utility companies are working to relocate their existing facilities, which include ComEd, AT&T, and Comcast. This project involves additional lanes along with 143rd Street and new turn lanes, traffic signals, and street lighting. The work is anticipated to be completed by the end of this year. The 151st Street and Parker Road project has also begun. As with the 143rd Street and Lamont Road project, utility companies are working to relocate their existing facilities, which include ComEd, AT&T, and Comcast. This project will not only involve pavement widening, new turn lanes, traffic signals, and street lighting, but will also include drainage improvements, which will tie into the detention pond project at this intersection. With that said, let's start off with the trustee reports with Trustee DeVivo.
Thank you, Mayor. As the mayor said, July 19th is the dedication for Erin Hills Park. It will be from 11 to 1 at the park, obviously. And there'll be some giveaways, refreshments, and snacks, and we're working on the program now. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee DeVivo. Trustee Suisse?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reporting for the Homer Harvest Days Committee, just a reminder that we are looking for more volunteers, demonstrators, and unique vendors for the September 6th and 7th event. Please call the township office or send me an email for applications or more information. Our next meeting is tomorrow at 7:30 in the township office on 151st Street. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Suisse. Trustee K. Janis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to say on Friday, June 6th, The Chamber had a golf outing, very successful, very well attended, and they did a wonderful job for the Homer Township Chamber of Commerce. Got a chance to show my golf prowess in front of Trustee Yukich. That was, not Yukich, I'm sorry, Costa. That was one of the sponsors, as well as Mayor Daley and myself as sponsors to the event. I just want to congratulate, and I see Lynn in the audience. Very nice job on the chamber. You did it with a touch. Also, I'd like to state that the past Planning Commission meeting, I was present to watch the presentation from Wendy's Corporation presenting their plan for the new branding on the national level, and I'm very happy to say that it looked pretty nice. It looked pretty nice, and I'm very happy that they wish to reinvest in our community at this level. So I just want to put that out to the audience as well, and I look forward to them bringing it to the full board. Also had a chance to talk with Economic Director Patch, as well as Village Manager Cameron on their convention in Las Vegas. It sounds like you had some great conversations with the folks out there, and look forward to many more successes. And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee K. Janice. Trustee Sabo?
You know, when you name some people, you may leave some people out, and so I want to say that I was a sponsor for the chamber outing also. I'll give my report here. Reporting for Earth Day, Arbor Day in 214. The Environment Committee continues to receive accolades regarding the Earth Day Arbor Day celebration. You saw more pictures in the manager's packet. And the event brings people to Homer Glen from near and far in a very positive way. So the committee is asking for consensus from the village board to plan once again for 2015. Is there a consensus on that? Is there anyone that would object?
Nope.
Like
No.
it? Okay, thank you. Stargazing, June 20th. The 7th year for stargazing is scheduled for Friday, June 20th, between 9 and 11 at Homer Township's historic Trantina Farm, located east of Gallagher Road and on 151st Street. The event is coordinated by Homer Glen Environment Committee, the Homer Glen EMA, Homer Township, and Will County School District 92. During the summer stargazing event, constellations and celestial views will be highlighted thanks to amateur astronomers from Kankakee area stargazers, the Naperville Astronomical Association, and Southwest Astronomy Observers Group. These groups will have their large telescopes available for free viewing, and more information can be found on the village website. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee Yukich?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm reporting on the safety and public service. We have a few things before us right now that we're looking into. Tonight we will be discussing the RV and boat storage. We have a little issue in the village where they're parking them on the driveway instead of on the side of it. They're not covered, so we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with that. But the two that are the biggest on our minds right now, so we had an issue with a dog in the village. Resident was walking her dog, and the dog next to her ran out of the house and killed her dog. Bit her, and it was in front of a school bus full of children. And what we're trying to figure out now, because we don't have an ordinance protecting anyone with the dogs, is getting something lined up to where if the dog is, if they say it's a vicious dog or a dangerous dog, what do we do with it? Some people have asked, are we going to pick out certain kinds of dogs? And right now, we'll discuss it, but I can't see why we'd pick out a certain kind of dog. The dog's not the mean one. It depends on what the owner teaches it. If the owner teaches it to be mean, it's going to be mean. So we will bring that up. Then the other thing is speeding. And it's not one part of the community that people are talking about. It's the whole community. No matter where you go, you can see the tire tracks where they lit them up and they went down the street. We have to be careful. They've got the speed counters out right now. They've got the radars where they put them up on the poles where people are going by. And it was strange because I stopped at a friend's house the other day and I saw a kid fly past the one on 167th Street and all I heard is 75! There's no thrill there. It's a 30-mile-an-hour street.
and they shouldn't be doing it. So they just have to think before they do it. So if everyone could just watch your speed, it would be very nice. It would be very helpful. And the police are going to be out and giving tickets. So that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Yukich. Trustee Costa?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'd like to report for our Fest Committee. Well, we're 2 weeks away from our annual Homer Community Fest. Begins Thursday, June 26th through Sunday, June 29th. We've got bands lined up for each day, a lot of activities going on. On Thursday this year, which is the first day of the fest, starting at 2:30 to 4:30, we're trying something new. It's the first time we're attempting this, and it's a special needs day. So we are asking that the local residents, to sign up through the Township Administration Building. There's applications and some directions and parking passes and things, so you can call them and get all the information you need or go on their website. But we are asking to keep this local for this year. I just got a report tonight, actually, because Orland Park has been doing this for a number of years, and just within the last few weeks, their special needs was a record attendance of close to 2,000 children that had special needs. That's a wonderful thing. It would be great if we can get to that point, but this is our first year. We want to make sure that it's manageable for us and that it's a good quality time for the families with children with special needs. Also, on Thursday night is our fireworks night, so come out and enjoy the fireworks. Saturday, we're having our parade again down Parker Road, so lineup starts about 10 o'clock. Get your lawn chair or whatever, come on Parker Road and watch the parade go by. It takes about an hour. Come over to the fest then. It's going to be a great time. Hopefully we get all this rain out of the way and it's a nice dry 4 days for everybody to enjoy it. But we're also looking for volunteers. Again, it takes a lot of people to clean up and help make this a success. If you need time for volunteering, especially for high school students, it is a 4-day event. You can pick up some good time and have fun while you're doing it, listen to good music. So if you'd like to volunteer, you can call the administration building here or call the Township Administration Building and put your name in, and we guarantee you will be called. Mr. Mayor, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Costa. Is there a treasurer's report for tonight?
There's no treasurer's report, Mayor.
How about the clerk? Does the clerk have anything?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
How about the village attorney?
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
How about any task force chairpersons? Okay. How about public safety officials? Okay. How about the village manager?
Mayor, I do have a couple items. I think we'll start out with Director Salamovich giving an update on all the village's drainage improvements. And then
Go right
I'll
ahead,
have a
Mike.
few things.
Okay. Work began on the first phase of the 2014 Drainage Improvement Program, and that took place on June 4th. The first phase includes improvements to the Pebble Creek Detention Pond located at the northwest corner of 151st and Parker Road, the Old Oak Estates East Unit 7 detention ponds located on Beaver Lake Drive, and the Scudds Lake outfall located on Haas Road. Work is anticipated to take approximately a month to complete, weather permitting. The village is planning to open bids for the second phase of the 2014 Drainage Improvement Program on June 18th. Phase 2 will include the reconstruction of the Meadowview Subdivision Detention Pond located on Sparrow Court and the Derby Meadows Subdivision Detention Pond located on Lady Bar Lane. Construction of this phase is anticipated to start sometime this summer. And then finally, engineering for the third phase is nearing completion. The village intends to open bids for this project later this year once the necessary permits have been approved. When completed, the projects will provide improved drainage and increased stormwater storage capacity in the detention ponds for the areas, which will help not only the residents in these subdivisions, but also the residents located downstream from these subdivisions. That's it.
Thank you, Mike.
Very good. Just a couple other items. On the agenda tonight, we're very excited about the two Meyer items, and they make up H5 and H6. And on H6, I think Heather had just a little typo in the beginning of the paragraph, beginning background information. On both items, on H5, she mentions that we currently have 4 Class D liquor licenses, but then on H6, she just inadvertently put 1. She put that we have 1 Class D, but we have 4. I think everybody knows that we have 4, and this license will make number 5 in that category. So I just wanted to point that out and thank Trustee Costa for finding that as he was reading the background material. Appreciate that. In all the board's mailboxes tonight is a copy of the final, the final preliminary draft for the 159th Street study. There's also copies here at the front desk, and we'll make one available at the library. Also, Housel Levine will be uploading this document onto the website that they've been maintaining, that we click through on our website too, so that the public can see it, and we're sending out a press release to let the public know that it's online and they can take a look at it. In 2 weeks, at the village board's next meeting on June 24th, Housel Levine representatives will be here to to give a presentation on the final preliminary draft, and then to answer any questions that you have, and it'll be an opportunity that the board has to make suggestions for changes to the preliminary draft before the final draft comes back for consideration. One of the items that I'll need some feedback from on the 24th that you can mull over in the next 2 weeks is the original intent of the 159th Street Corridor Planning Study was that it would come back and be like an addendum to our comprehensive plan. And so one of the things that I'll want some feedback from the board from is whether or not you would like the final draft to go through a public hearing process with both the Plan Commission and then the village board, or if you would just like the public hearing process just to go through the village board and not have to go through the Plan Commission. So you can just mull that over the next 2 weeks, and then I'll be asking for some feedback on that at your meeting on June 24th. I want to thank District 33C. They're always so helpful, and we had our public meeting there last night, and the guys on the maintenance staff do a fantastic job, and just want to publicly thank them and everybody that helps. Every time we ask to use their facilities, they're always so helpful. And finally, I will be at the Illinois City County Management Association meeting, the summer meeting, for the remainder of this week, and then I'm taking some days off into the middle of next week. While I'm gone, if you have any questions or concerns, you can certainly address them to Joe Baber or to Heather Kokodinsky, and they'll certainly be able to help you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Cam. That concludes reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. Next portion of this meeting would be public comment. Thanks, Joe. Okay. 312-587-55, it looks like 94. Is that your number?
My phone number?
Yeah.
Yes, my name is Dimitri Christopoulos. I represent Myers Supermarket.
Thank you. I didn't want to butcher your name.
All right. Common spelling is usually how I refer to it. I'm here for Myers Supermarket in case the board has any questions about any of the plans or the issuance of the license, but we appreciate your consideration this evening.
Thank you. Okay, the next speaker would be Dennis Gerwing.
Dennis Gerwing, 12250 West Derby Lane, Homer, Glen. You probably know what I'm going to talk about. I know, Mr. Mayor, you do. And that's about Java Joe's. You all know that I'm against that type of business in this community, and I think rightfully so. Java Joe's applied for a license in Elgin, a city of in excess of 100,000 people. They originally passed their ordinance for video gaming much for the same reason we did, to protect the already established businesses in their town, the restaurants and sports bars and so forth, from having their customers leave them and go to surrounding communities. That was the intent of our ordinance. Unfortunately, we've got a very weak ordinance, and even with the revision of the Class A liquor license, it still remains a very weak ordinance. The businesses that we sought to protect are being hurt by that, at least according to the numbers supplied by the Illinois Gaming Board. In the full month of April that Dottie's was open, Pepe's lost $6,000 in gaming revenue. Our good friends next door at Mullet's, a rather large facility, they're down $2,000. Dottie's did about $6,000. When they were applying for their license in Elgin, they said that they do coffee, and they do coffee really well. And the location that they were looking at was it was in a very good location. It was a corner location on Charles Street in Elgin. One of the councilwomen had mentioned that that wasn't the intent of their ordinance, to let mini casinos come into their town. They asked Mr. Thatcher if he would consider just opening a coffee shop and maybe further down the road, maybe add video gaming. And he respectfully declined to do that. So he's in the gaming business, he's not in the coffee business. That being said, Elgin said, you're not coming in. And they haven't allowed any of these mini casino type businesses come in. And they haven't been sued. How about that? Apparently they weren't afraid of being sued, but they have not been sued. I'd like to point out to you that in the 4 months that we've had gaming in Homer Glen, that of the 800 and approximate 50 locations that report to the gaming board, I don't mean stores, I mean communities that report to the gaming board in the state of Illinois, in just 4 months, Homer Glen ranks in the 13th percentile for the number of video games that we have. Approval of these supposedly 5 machines that Java Joe's wants to put in, that'll put us somewhere in the top 9%. I hope you're all proud of that. Hope you're all real happy with that. That's not something that I'd be proud of. I don't think we need it. I think we need to take care of our existing restaurants and sports bars and businesses that have been here for a while. We should figure out some way to stop these little mini casino joints from coming in. The state of Illinois has a way to do that. It doesn't come down to municipal level. But acting on advice from a municipality, they can restrict who comes into your town. I got that today from an attorney from the Illinois Gaming Board. So if you really want to keep them out, there's a way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next and final speaker would be Don Thatcher.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I represent Java Jill's, and he had some very valid points. I did go in front of the city of Elgin, but as you well know, there's a very large gaming facility in the city of Elgin, so consequently, they weren't real receptive to Java Jill's. And while we do gaming and we do it very well, we also do coffee and we do it very well. We sell quite a bit of coffee, in fact. We're not your typical cafe, if you will, with bad food. We do coffee and we do it very well, and we do gaming and we do it very well. That's our concept. So I appreciate you taking the opportunity to vote on whether I get my liquor license or not tonight. And essentially, that's all I have to say right now.
Thank you, Don. Okay, that concludes public comment. Here you go, Madam Clerk. The next portion of this meeting is legislation and action items. The first is there a motion to approve? This would be H1. Is there a motion to approve the attached proclamation designating July as Park and Recreation Month in the Village of Homer Glen?
So moved.
First by Trustee DeVivo.
Second.
Second by Trustee K. Janis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Trustee K. Janis.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Sweet.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be H2. Is there a motion to direct Mayor Daley to sign an intergovernmental agreement with Will County and a facility rental agreement with Homer School District 33C for a household hazardous waste collection and electronic recycling event scheduled for Saturday, October 4th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Hadley Middle School and Homer Junior High School's parking lots. It is understood that the village's contribution to Will County for this event will not exceed $7,500.
So moved.
First by trustee Yukich.
I second.
Second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Pajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. This would be H3. Is there a motion directing the finance director to remit future New Lenox Township road and bridge levies to the Homer Township Highway Department going forward?
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo,
Second.
second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
When we approve this, then will more information be coming back to us in the form of an ordinance so that it can be sent to, so it can be remitted, so we'll know the total amount?
Actually, I believe that you remit current monies without an ordinance. I don't believe that you'll need to pass an ordinance for this, I believe, but I will double check on that.
Well, the village attorney just finished saying, right, we don't need an ordinance.
Right, yeah, we don't need an ordinance.
Okay, well, we'll need some information.
When it happens annually, I can have the treasurer add that to that monthly's treasurer's report to let you know. We haven't typically done that, though, for the much larger sum that goes directly to the Homer Highway Department. This is a pretty small sum, but if you'd like that to happen, we can have that, we can make sure that that happens.
I think it informs us.
Okay.
In a good way.
I'll let John know.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Pajanis?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be H4. Is there a motion to approve the Village of Homer Glen remaining a member of the Will Electrical Aggregate Group and direct the village manager to bring a revised intergovernmental agreement before the village board for consideration?
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo,
I second.
second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, just real quick, if I could just say a couple quick things. Basically, all this is the Will County Group is just asking each of the municipalities that's currently a member if it's our intent to stay as a member. And of course, besides their request, I want that to happen too, because if it was the village board's intent that we go off on our own, then we have a lot of work to do over the next couple months by ourselves to make that happen. I wouldn't recommend that, and I don't in the attachment, of course. I think it's much better, we'll get better prices to be part of the larger group. So this is just answering their question, which is, do you want to stay a part of the group? And then they're in the process right now. Attorneys are reviewing some documents, and they're in the process of developing a new, like either extension to the original intergovernmental agreement or a new intergovernmental agreement. And it's my hope that that will come back to the board potentially at your next meeting if you pass this tonight.
Okay, I have one question. The Will County Aggregate Electric Group, are they shopping the price once again?
Well, that's their intention, yeah, to do that this summer, to do another RFP like they did the last time. And what we're seeing happen is you'll probably read a lot of articles. And one of the trustees sent me an article this week, I think, Trustee Suisse. ComEd is actually coming back into the market and becoming successful in a lot of these RFPs. Whereas if you remember, when we switched from ComEd to our current provider, residents of the county saved millions of dollars. So it'll be interesting to see how that process works, but that'll be happening later this summer.
Great. Is there any further discussion? Trustee
yes.
Sabo, go ahead.
Crest-Hill had opted out of the aggregation, and before we actually join this again, I think we have a little time. I think we should investigate why there were some other towns that had opted out. It could be to our advantage to know, and we may find out that we want to stay with this, but tonight, if we say that we still have some time.
Right.
Right. But I think I'd really like to know why they did and why they felt that they could get a better price somewhere else.
I will check with Crest Hill. It's my understanding that no one that was a part of the original group has opted out. There are people that never opted in. Manhattan is one of those, or maybe they didn't pass it originally when everybody else passed it and the communities had to go back and do another referendum. But I will check in with Crest Hill and see what the situation is.
I believe Crest Hill was
I've also asked a member of the if this passes tonight, I've asked a member of the Will County group, the Will County Governmental League, to be at your next meeting so that he can answer questions that you might have too.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Well, I'm just saying that we ought to investigate first before we decide that we want to, that we want to join again. So that's what this is about, isn't it?
Well, what it's really about is either way, you'd have to go out into the market. You see, I don't know Crest Hill's specific things, but let's say that they're by themselves, they're not a part of a group. Crest Hill has to go through an RFP process and go out into the market by themselves. So the question really is, do we want to go out into the market by ourselves, just 25,000 people, or do we want to go out into the market as part of a larger 100,000 people group? That's really the question. Do we want to stay in the group or go out on our own? And my suggestion is that we continue to stay in the group.
As was described to us last time when Will County was here to discuss the program with us when we first joined the agency, the larger size of the group got the larger the size of a group got the larger reduction in rates, and that's why we joined in the first place.
Well, that is true. That is true, but some towns are finding out that they are better served by going with someone else, and so that I think we should investigate that before we agree to do this.
I will talk to Crest Hill before your next meeting.
I do have actually documentation that came in on an electric bill, where they actually told the members, and then, told their residents that was what they were doing.
Okay. Is there any further discussion, Trustee Yukich? Yep.
There's no cost to this to be in it, and it's a team working together. Doesn't it mean that we could pretty much join it, and we could also look if we wanted to look?
You can. The challenge with doing it on our own is that we will have to hire a consultant to help us because staff doesn't have the technical capabilities to do this, just like the larger group hired a consultant to help with it. And basically, I would be running it versus the Will County Governmental League, which runs it from the larger group and hires a consultant, and then, so it would potentially actually end up costing us money if we did it by ourselves versus being a part of the larger group.
Well, I'm saying both. We could be part of the group, but if you have time or something comes up or you find something else out, couldn't we investigate it ourselves also?
We could, but again, you're going out in the market. You're like shopping at 7-Eleven versus shopping at Costco. You're doing it as a much smaller entity versus being a part of this larger group. So I can't imagine that you would get better prices as a smaller entity than you would as a much larger group. That's one of the reasons we joined in the first place, economies of scale.
And the other thing is that we participate with the Will County Governmental League through fees. So this is one of the things that they do for us.
This is one of the services.
One of the services.
Provide,
I think we pay them. We pay them about $10,000 a year, something like that.
I forget the exact amount, but it is part of the services that they provide.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kijana?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
I just want to qualify my vote that I think we should be investigating. If it takes too much time or so forth, I'm going to go along with that, but I'm sorry that we're not investigating beforehand.
Is that a yes or no?
I said yes, I just wanted to qualify why I was saying yes.
Trustee Sabo's vote is yes. Motion carries. This would be H5. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-029, an ordinance amending section 13 of ordinance number 14-021, providing for the control of alcoholic liquor within the Village of Homer Glen? It is understood that the number of Class D liquor licenses package store will increase from 4 to 5 within the Village of Homer Glen. Are those numbers correct?
They are
Kim?
correct. They are.
Okay.
So moved.
First by Trustee Costa, second by Trustee K. Janis. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please
Yes, there is discussion.
go right ahead.
I want to know, I looked at the original ordinance in 2008, and it's in the ordinance number 08053 on the first page where there's a little star there. It doesn't really define what they were going to serve at the gas station, and it doesn't. And there's another place where it doesn't. So our ordinance is combining both, the liquor or the Class D for both, and yet usually at a service station or gas station, they usually just have beer and wine. So I just wanted to know originally what Meyer had intended for the gas station, because it really isn't spelled out in the ordinance. Did they intend to serve hard liquor also, or was that?
Go right ahead.
Trustee, the simple answer is yes. The application is for beer, wine, and spirits. I understand the way the license will issue will cover both the supermarket and the gas station. It'll be one license to cover both, and it'll be one premises, so it'll be the identical type of product at both locations.
Is this what you usually do at your other gas stations?
It's certainly what we seek where ordinances provide for it, yes.
Does that answer your question, Trustee Sabo?
Well, if that's what they intended in the beginning, it wasn't spelled out. I also really don't like to vote on the liquor at a gas station, because it's really considered gas and go, and I feel there's some danger in that. I would have rather have had the two the permits for the two locations split. And is that possible?
The question was asked of the village attorney, did they need two licenses or one? I believe that's correct.
I discussed this with Aaron before, and I don't have a problem. I told Aaron that they need to check with the Illinois Liquor Control Commission, and as long as Myers is satisfied that they only need one license, that the village doesn't have a problem issuing one license.
Yeah, as I understand it, as long as the village defines both the gas station and the supermarket as one licensed premises.
Which it did.
Right.
Right.
Then the state will issue a license.
Right.
Okay, does that answer your question, Trustee Sabo?
Well, it makes it difficult for me to, I would like, I don't object to to Myers at all. I just object to the situation of someone going to the gas station and being able to get something very easily, and it is considered gas and go. And I just like to be able to separate it. I can't seem to separate this because they're combined.
Being an advocate for the industry, admittedly, I would just point out that people drive to the supermarket in much the same way they drive to a service station, that there really isn't a substantive difference in the risk. We rely on the training of the Meyer employees, the facet certification, their surveillance. We have software in every register, including at the gas station, to ensure people are of age, it's appropriate, they're trained on over-service issues, and that training applies regardless of the location and the point of sale. So people are driving to each location much in the same way, and they're only about, 100 yards from each other. So I think hopefully, I never like to overpromise and underdeliver, but I think hopefully that the safety will be paramount at this store, like it is at its other stores.
Well, I do hope that you are strict in doing that. It's just that the concept is what I don't like. And I know there are other people that don't care for it too, but it makes it very difficult for me to vote yes, because I can't vote for the store and then I have to vote for the service station.
No, we appreciate that.
Okay, is there
I have
any
a-
further, go ahead, Trustee Suisse.
Thank you. I was going to wait for the next part of it, but I might as well just do it now since we're on the gas station part, if I can ask. Because I guess in '08, when they had the Class D for both locations, is that why you're doing the spirits in the beer and wine? Because in checking with like 7 other Meyer gas stations, they don't even serve any alcohol. Is it because that was available? They don't even have the beer and wine.
So I'm outside counsel, and I don't have maybe the historical perspective that you do.
Well, why don't? I just checked with over the weekend with your other gas stations to see if they had spirits, and they told me they didn't even have beer and wine. You have to go into the store. So I was wondering why why carry all that here?
I think at most new locations, we just did one in Thornton. We did get a liquor license for both the gas stations.
So is that something new? Because, Plainfield, Bolingbrook, Aurora, Bloomingdale, they didn't, they said you just use the store.
Right. No, I know that in other parts of the state, especially downstate, they do definitely sell alcohol in the service stations as well.
Okay. Is there any other, Trustee
Sorry, I
Yukich?
just have one. My question would be, like you just got done saying, it's only 100 feet away. Wouldn't it be better just to sell the alcohol out of the store? Because you would actually have more sales, because people, when they go in any kind of store, they grab and buy this.
I think you really kind of have two concepts. You have a convenience concept at the gas station, because these days, we all know that as you enter a filling station, you're going in there not only for gas, but you want a snack, a drink, and whatever. There's an opportunity to get convenience items versus going into a very, big box store and having to go through the lines and the whole process. I, for one, would probably opt for the gas station.
Okay.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee K. Janice?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Yep. This would be H6. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-030, an ordinance assigning an available Class D liquor license package store to Meyer Great Lakes Limited Partnership, DBA Meyer number 219, located at 14169 and 14125 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, Illinois?
So moved.
First by Trustee K. Janice.
Second.
Second by Trustee Costa. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee K. Janice?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be H7. Is there a motion to assign a Class E liquor license, temporary license, to the Assumption Greek Orthodox Church located at 15625 South Bell Road, Homer Glen, for the Greek for a Day Festival occurring on July 27, 2014?
So moved.
First by, who was that, Donna? Trustee DeVivo? Second by Trustee K. Janice. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee K. Janice?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Can I give my answer in 1 second, because I did have a small question beforehand? Don't they already have a liquor license for the church?
I don't believe the church has a club license at this point.
Okay, I wasn't sure, because I know there's one club license out there.
Yeah, I believe that's
It's the other one.
Serbian church, yeah.
Serbian Church.
Yeah.
And my answer is aye.
Okay. Keep going there.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be H,
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I know, I did. Last year after our Greek Fest, for one day, I wanted to come and thank the village for allowing us to do this. It's a yearly thing to introduce the Greek to the community and so forth, but illnesses, as some of you might know, have kept me away from coming and thanking you last year for issuing the liquor license and for coming. And again, we send an invitation to you, the board, and to the village to join us on the 27th. This year, we hope to have it bigger and better than last year, and enjoy the day with us. So I extend the invitation to you again, Your Honor, and to the members of the committee, and thank you on behalf of the church.
Thank you. Okay, this would be H8. Is there a motion to assign a Class E liquor license, temporary license, to Walter Kono for Kono's Corn Maze, DBA Zachary's Farm and Red Barn event to be held on, June 14, 2014 at 16849 South Cedar Road, Homer Glen?
So moved.
First by Trustee Yukich, second by Trustee K. Janice. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, let's see here. This would be H9. Let's see. Okay. Is there a motion to approve changing the Village of Homer Glen's regular village board meeting date from the second and fourth Tuesday of each month to the second and fourth Wednesday of each month, starting in either July, August, or September, whatever you would like to do, and yet further direct the village manager to draft an ordinance so amending Section 1 of Exhibit A of ordinance number 10-001 entitled "An Ordinance Establishing Rules for the Conduct of the Village Board Meetings in the Village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois," and bring that ordinance back for board consideration at the June 24th Village Board meeting.
I so move.
First by trustee Sweez.
Second.
Second by trustee Yukich. So the next question is we have to pick one. When do you want July, August, or September? What's
I
the consensus of the board?
I have a comment.
Sure.
I said, I think with the need for advance notice and the fact that some board members and staff have already planned for the current time, maybe we should wait for the latter month.
Is everybody happy with September?
Yep.
Okay.
Mayor, if we're able to do that, then we will, we've left a little space in the newsletter that's coming out, and we'll put that, if the board does that, we'll put that in the newsletter so everybody will see it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes.
may, just one comment.
Sure.
I'd like to thank the Homer Harvest Days Committee for changing their meeting date. Those are all volunteers that pretty much plan their year on what days they're going to meet, so thank you very much for changing the date so we can move our meeting.
Great, great. Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Motion carries. This would be H10. Let me get my stuff straight here. Let's see, H10. Is there a motion to direct the mayor to sign an intergovernmental agreement with Homer Township for the rental of Tratina Farm, 15744 West 151st Street, on June 20th and October 17th, 2014, for the village's stargazing events?
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo,
I second.
second by trustee Sweez. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis? Trustee Sabo?
Mo- Motion carries. This would be H11. Is there a motion to authorize the village manager to petition the Plan Commission to initiate a text amendment that will amend the rules of interpretation, sign definition, and zoning district regulations of Section 10.6 signage regulations of the village zoning ordinance to permit the use of flex-cut signs?
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo, second by trustee Janis. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Go right ahead, trustee Sabo.
I've seen some, it was nicely put together here to see some of the signs and the differences in the signage, in channel letters, and then what they call flexor or bubble signs to give us some idea. And at first it wasn't quite clear what the difference was, but in studying this, and then in looking throughout the village, the channel cut letters present a better look. And when the flex signs or bubble signs are lit, they do not have such a good look. And I don't know the reason for changing this, because the ordinance does say that there still allows for some creativity if you see on page 2, if you take out the red, all wall signs at the bottom, all wall signs that shall consist of channel letters with the exception of one element of the design that may consist of a simple geometric figure. So there is creativity, there is creativity allowed. And so that's my one comment, but I just want to hear from others because I did have some other ideas.
I personally, I think the bubble look looks good. I think it's just another option for, our business people to use. I don't have any issue with it. That's my opinion.
I have a comment, Mayor.
Go ahead, Trustee Suisse.
Well, I believe that some of the goals from our core values we're supposed to have like an appealing, distinctive community image. That would require like attractive commercial areas, including landscaping, signage, lighting, etc. I don't think having these bubble type of signs are appealing, and really I think the wording, even on the amendment, is quite vague. Is it just a plastic sign, die cut?
Are you asking me a question?
No, I'm just throwing it out there as a question.
Right, it's, when the sign ordinance was probably originally transferred over from the county and adjustments started to occur, this type of flex cut signage really wasn't even around. There's always been the traditional box signs, which literally are boxes, really rectangles, right? And we have some examples over in Orland, over at the shopping center. And those are definitively not allowed, and that's been the case for years and will continue to be the case. This type of signage is newer. You're starting to see more and more of it. When we were out at the conference in Las Vegas, we actually saw several examples of it. AutoZone in Orland, the AutoZone in Orland has flex cut signage. You see more and more of it because what these types of signs, the sophistication now, the equipment they have to create these allows for greater creativity. And so a lot of national chains, you saw the Hardee's example in your packet, are trying to use this so that they can capture elements of their logo in the actual business signage. So staff does not feel strongly one way or the other. The reason it's before you is because you have a local business, Total Look Salon, that is trying to capture the scissor look in their sign, and they're also trying to come up with some signage that's a little bit less expensive than the individual letters. And so they've come forward, and the committee discussed it, and it found its way through here to you to find its way to the Planning Commission and then back to you if you so desire it. But I think one of the reasons why it wasn't probably in the original ordinance is because the capability to create this kind of unique signage really wasn't common 12, 13 years ago, and now it's more common. So that's just to give you a little bit of feedback. I am assuming that if you do send it on to the Planning Commission, that they will have many comments about it, and we'll probably dissect it with Aaron, and hopefully, as they often do, take the definition and improve upon it, the proposed definition, and improve upon it so it can be even more specific. But I think it's just an effort to try to reduce costs a little bit for businesses and allow them a little bit greater creativity than the individual letters allow. That's, I think, the main two points of it.
Does this come back to us for vote?
It would come back to you.
It comes back to us for vote anyway. So.
I believe Trustee Costa wanted to say something.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I know in admin and finance, we also discussed this, and what I'd like to see when it gets back to us, also in the form of a change, is that there is a definite cut between the letters. They did talk about that, rather than just go straight across. So like we look at total sign, there's a bit of an arch over the O, the bottom of the A, it cuts out so it doesn't just look generic.
Right.
In my opinion, I mean, again, as was mentioned before, I think it'd give a definite, a distinct look to the business, especially if they do have a company logo, and there are other businesses that are coming to our community that are expanding from other communities. And I think even as we go from area to area, we'll look for a familiar sign if we want to go someplace to eat or buy something, and sometimes the sign jumps out at you because it's familiar and exactly the way it looks. So I would like to see the letters cut just like they show here. I think it is creativity, and it could give a business, a nice look. Thank you.
So Aaron, you've taken those notes down, the recommendations, what have you? Trustee K. Janis, go ahead.
And what I like to say is, I believe personally, it could be as attractive as any other sign out there. Now, with that said, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and I guess I think it looks pretty darn good. I do believe as you go through various communities and as businesses are expanding into different communities, there is a branding, whether it be a regional branding or a national branding. I believe this is the case with many of the businesses that may come into Homer Glen today, tomorrow, and hopefully into the future. And I believe this also gives the resources to these small entrepreneurs that want to come in and start up a business an opportunity to have cost-cutting measures. To me, it's really dry in here for my throat, I'm sorry. Cost-cutting measures. And I believe this is a great opportunity for the Planning Commission to dissect it, to digest it, and go forward with a recommendation for the full board to take a look at as well, and then render a decision on this.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, I said yes.
Oh, I can't hear you sometimes.
Okay. I just feel that other businesses have complied with the ordinance as it is. I don't know, and all of a sudden someone has a better sign, they like it better, they want a sign like that, pretty soon we're not consistent. I believe that these signs that we have now, the sign ordinance now, are very sophisticated, and they do allow for some creativity. I don't care for the look at night. It doesn't look as nice as a sign does during the day, and it's not as appealing. And I don't know what the cost difference is. I mean, is it hundreds of dollars? Is it some dollars? We don't know. We certainly would like businesses to be able to save money, but we certainly want our businesses to look to have a good look. I mean, we keep changing, and then we've got a conglomeration of different ideas. I feel that we could still be creative with our channel letters, and they're really great and they look neat. That's my opinion.
Okay. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee K. Janis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
No.
Trustee Sweet?
This comes back to us, correct?
Correct.
Aye.
Did you get everyone?
Yes, I did.
Motion carries.
Mayor, if I could just ask one question, just if it's okay with the board. I would like to be able to give a copy to the Plan Commission of a draft version of your village board meeting minutes. Would that be okay? Because chances are you won't have approved them by the time this comes before the Plan Commission, and I would like for them to be able to read all your comments. Would that be okay to give them a draft copy of the meeting minutes?
Yeah, I don't see any problem with it, yeah.
Okay.
And Erin took notes too.
Very good,
so.
she did, thank you.
Okay.
Also with the understanding that they're not approved minutes.
That they're not approved, they'll be
Gotcha.
marked draft.
Okay.
Yeah, just so they can see your comments, your individual comments. Thank you.
Alrighty, this would be H12. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-031, an ordinance authorizing the issue of a special use to permit the sale of alcoholic beverages and a special use to permit hours of operation outside the normal business hours for the property commonly known as 14911 and 14913 South Founders Crossing, with the primary address being 14911 South Founders Crossing, Homer Glen, Illinois. Crown Point Amusement LLC, DBA Java Jills.
So moved.
It is understood that the village clerk will make the necessary adjustments to the ordinance so that it reflects the motion. First by Trustee K. Janis,
Second.
second by Trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Trustee Yukich, go right
Well,
ahead.
no, Trustee Costa first.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask Mr. Thatcher a question, please?
Sure.
Mr. Thatcher,
Yes.
You made a comment earlier about, you sell a lot of coffee and good coffee. You do understand that you're a restaurant, you're not a
Yes.
coffee shop,
Understood.
and that you will be serving and offering full meals that are prepared on site?
Correct.
Do you have a general menu
I do.
of what, can you share that with us tonight, some of the
Certainly.
food that you prepare on site?
For breakfast, we offer muffins and pastries, and for lunch and dinner, we offer 4 different varieties of pita bread sandwiches.
Okay, but, according to our restaurant ordinance, you're preparing the food there, it's not just heat and serve.
Correct.
So are you going to make the pitas from scratch? Is the meat all roasted beef that you're roasting there on site and slicing?
It's chicken, yes.
Okay, so you're cooking the chicken on site, it's not
It's-
prepared off-site and coming in?
It's pre-cooked chicken.
It's pre-cooked, so you're really not preparing any food on site?
We're
You're
assembling
reheating
the
it?
pitas.
You're just reheating it?
We're assembling the pitas.
You're assembling a pita with reheated food?
We do heat the food, yes.
Okay, if I may comment about that, Mr. Mayor, I think we've gone through this before, a few meetings ago, where, in my estimation, what was just explained to me, they're not preparing anything from scratch. They're not preparing anything there. They're reheating food that was prepared off-site, and they're assembling a sandwich, nothing different than somebody that has a sandwich already packaged that they're heating in a toaster oven. In my estimation, does not follow our ordinance. This is my opinion. It doesn't follow the ordinance, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's your opinion. What do you call it? Do you want to define the ordinance, Mark?
Well, I think the ordinance speaks for itself. And the ordinance says that the food has to be prepared on the premise, it has to be prepared on the premises and cooked from scratch. So, one of the things that the board committee discussed at length is exactly this type of situation where it's pastries and muffins. You're not preparing any of that. You're picking that up at the bakery and you're serving that in the morning. And then for lunch and dinner, it's just pita sandwiches that you're putting together. You're getting the chicken is cooked somewhere else. Pita bread's not prepared there. So you're really not making, you're making sandwiches. And I don't think that was my personal opinion, and I'm just a lawyer, not a trustee, but that was not the intent of the ordinance.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Just a quick question. I mean, you're not serving hamburgers, nothing like that? Nothing
ma'am.
that you would actually cook on a grill?
No, ma'am.
There you go.
Okay. These answered, I think, the questions we needed to have answered to, do you have something you want to say, Margaret?
Yes, if Java Jill's is not following our ordinance, then I don't know why we should vote on anything here tonight, not 12, 13 or 14.
Well, I think what we have to do is they've gone through the plan commission. I think we have to give them a yes or no vote. And if they're not consistent with the ordinance, I think you know what the answer to that is, and, that's that.
Well, it's really a shame that they had to go this far and find out tonight that they don't qualify for the ordinance. They are not following it.
Well, it's always been understood that anybody that's going to get this license is going to have to comply with the ordinance. And
That's why it comes back before us.
yeah.
Well, the steps, if they don't comply in the beginning, and if they are presenting an application that does not comply, they don't need to go any further and waste their time, unless they are going to adjust to the ordinance.
Correct. And before I get to you, Trustee Costa, Don, could you come back up to the microphone? Would you like this to be tabled to try to address your
No, Your Honor,
issues?
I would like some resolution, please.
Okay, you got it.
I have a couple questions if you don't.
Go right ahead.
With the petitioner as well. First of all, what was maybe I should ask Cameron first, if I may. What was the date on this application again, please? When they first
Probably in the material before you.
put forward the application?
We'd have to look, I'm not going to be able to get that
Okay.
immediately, but
January,
we'll look as you
sometime
go
in
on to your
January.
other
In
question.
January.
Yeah.
What was the date that we changed the ordinance?
It was in February.
So what I guess I'm getting to is they start the process of this application, 1/14 of 14, thank you.
Fee
Madam
received
Clerk.
though in March.
The application was filed 1/14 of 14, thank you, Madam Clerk. So I guess to that argument that they shouldn't have come forward, they were already forward before we changed the ordinance. But now to the specific question, now when you say about reheating food, and I know there's all kinds of different definitions out there on reheating food and recooking food and reconstituting food, what process would you use for the chicken before you're serving it in the pita? With the understanding that you're still meeting internal temperatures of the food product under food safety sanitation.
Correct, and we adhere, we have the health department come in and do inspections just like any other restaurant. So we adhere to all their rules and regulations. We have thermometers, we heat the chicken to temperature. So with that, I don't know what else.
May I ask what equipment you'd use to reheat the chicken?
We have
use ovens?
an oven. We also have a microwave.
Stovetop?
Stovetop, if you will.
When you say oven. The reason why I bring that up is, many restaurants that we have here in Homer Glen, many of the products come in. I don't really want to throw out their names because they're fine restaurants, fine managers, and fine employees that are serving the community. But many of the products coming into restaurants today, especially on the national chains, are coming in pre-cooked. Actually, there's one specialty restaurant in town that I know for an absolute fact, because I witnessed what he was purchasing at the restaurant depot, was all pre-cooked items, but he's well known for the one item that he was purchasing that was pre-cooked, an item, which I just want to throw that out. I'm not going to name any names of these restaurants, but coming from a restaurant background, I can understand it. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. I worked in that field for a number of years, so.
So the thing that happened here is very clear to me that you applied prior to the ordinance, the change in the ordinance, and that's why you went through the process with your pre-cooked food. Unfortunately, the ordinance is the ordinance. Go ahead, Trustee Yukich.
Well, I had an understanding when Dottie's came before us, which was the first, that they were told the exact same thing that you should have been told. And from our staff says that you were informed. We had a license that shouldn't have been there. They had an F license. Shouldn't have been there. We came up with an idea and we let every single solitary group that wanted to come into the village for the video gambling know that we were working on a new ordinance to make it to where it was a level playing field for everybody in this community. It did take a little bit longer than what we wanted, but everyone knew we were working on this and everyone had to abide by it.
I was told that.
Okay, so with that being said, my only question to you would be, then why did you come forward? If we're telling you you have to cook the food, it has to be served, it doesn't make any sense where you're coming to us.
Does Dottie's do that?
Does Dottie's do what?
Do they cook their own food? They're not buying any pre-cooked food?
Doesn't matter.
We're not going to mince words between
That's what I'm saying. I'm just
Dottie's
looking for
and-
some resolution
Okay.
tonight. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
Dottie's does have hamburgers on their menu, and they do grill them there.
Okay.
So I've looked at their menu, I've seen it, so yes, they do cook food there. I'm not sure what else they cook, but they do cook some of their food there.
Okay, I think we've had enough discussion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Nay.
Trustee DeVivo?
Nay.
Trustee Pajanis?
Nay.
Trustee Sable?
No.
Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Yukich?
No.
Motion fails. This would be, well, if that motion fails, then
You're not going to call 13 and 14.
we're not going to call 13 and 14 because they're related to 12. So do we have, we're just not going to call 13, 14, that's what you do? Okay, so then the next portion of this meeting would be workshop. First workshop item is Development Service Director Salamovich will be presenting information to the board this evening regarding the completion of the final lift of the unfinished roads in Erin Hills Unit 4D subdivision. Mike, when you're ready, please begin.
As the board knows, the Erin Hills subdivision, Unit 4D, is one of our 9 non-LLC subdivisions. The developer is no longer present on the development. There is no letter of credit, and of course, the public improvements have not been completed. Recently, the Homer Township Highway Commissioner has informed the staff, village staff, that as part of this year's paving program, they are intending to do approximately 55 to 60% of the roads within the existing sections of the Erin Hills subdivision. He has offered to the village to pave the remaining portions, or pave those roads within the Erin Hills 4D subdivision, subject to the village paying for those additional costs. The additional costs are approximately $70,000, and that's what we're here to discuss.
Okay, Trustee DeVivo, did you want to, or Trustee DeVivo? Sorry about that, Mike. Highway Commissioner DeVivo, would you like to say anything about the?
No, we're just making it part of this process. It's an opportunity. Subdivision, I'm sure there are some benefits economically to the village. When you consider the economy scale, you're part of a project that's, it'll be well over $1 million. And I think your portion of the paving is $70,000. Not that it's a small job, but consider going out for bid and a job that's only about $70,000 and repositioning all the equipment. You've been in construction, you know that it adds to the cost. So I just think it's an opportunity. We're in the subdivision. And it's also, it's just good government when you're there to do everything that needs to be done. So I just think it would be beneficial. We took a cursory look at the curbs as well. I think he said 70,000, Mike, but I think we're right around 67. And our engineer has been pretty good. Bid to be opened in the 18th. I do believe you'd have an opportunity to back out. Even if for some reason the bid went haywire. So we're not tied to it directly. So the cursory look at the curbs would be about another 4,000 or 5,000, and that would take care of that. That's not addressing any of the issues with the sidewalks.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and I personally support it. It gets one of these non-LLC situations off our plate. We need to start on them. This is probably one of the least inexpensive ones, and I would definitely support it. Trustee Costa?
I agree, Mayor. A substantial amount of paving to do, and I agree with Mike, Commissioner DeVivo, that the equipment's here. There is a cost savings since they're out in the community, and also doesn't this go right past our brand new park that we just put in also?
It does.
So it certainly would be a benefit there. Have a nice the proper road going in front of one of the brand new parks. So I'm in favor of this.
Okay, is it the consensus of the board to instruct Commissioner DeVivo to put this as part of his project?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mike, you've got your answer.
All right, and bid openings to June 18th at the Highway Department at 11 o'clock.
Thank you. Just keep us posted keep the village manager posted as to the price.
Anybody would be welcome.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes the first workshop item. The next workshop item, Chief Building Officer Baber will be presenting information to the board this evening regarding the village's ordinance enforcement of boats, large equipment, camper, mobile home, and RV storage in the village. Joe, whenever you're ready, please begin.
Thank you, Mayor. Board, back on March 11th, the board directed me to take back to the committee, the Public Services and Safety Committee, to get a recommendation and review regarding the village's ordinance on the enforcement of boats, large equipment, campers, mobile homes, and RVs. The last week's recommendation to come out of committee was to enforce the existing outdoor parking of recreational equipment vehicles and construction commercial-related vehicles as the ordinance is written. The committee also recommended that this issue to be returned to the board in order to seek direction regarding the amount of time, if that's the direction that's implemented, for 30, 60, or 90-day notification process for education and to the residents to come into compliance with the existing ordinance. So the question before the board this evening and the direction we're looking for, if a majority of the village board concurs with the Public Services and Safety Committee's recommendation to actively enforce the village's existing recreational vehicle parking storage regulations, and then the time period for the notification, 30, 60, 90 days, if that's the direction we're given. So that's what we're looking for.
Joe, I looked down to read something briefly. How many situations do you have out there?
200 plus. It changes all the time, but given our last count through the village, it was over 200 vehicles.
Okay, I open it up for discussion. Trustee Costa?
Boy, I'm leading this one tonight. Yeah, we did discuss this, Mayor. We've discussed it in the past. I believe some months ago, we know there's a couple maintenance issues or maintenance items that the committee is looking at, such as the screening and the height of the screening and things of that nature. But we also feel that, to just go out there and start citing the residents, we've had this ordinance in place for a while, that, education is important. We're unlike any other community where we have a lot of ordinances just like everybody does. And because we're new, maybe everybody doesn't know all the ordinances, so we would like to get a letter out to the people. We have their addresses already. If we can get a letter to them, I think tonight, I'd like to see a 60-day period, so that within 60 days they have to comply, otherwise they can be cited. This does give them an opportunity to try to find a alternate storage space for it, for their equipment. And then moving forward, and then we also need to educate and get more information out in the paper or our website. And also, I'd like to see the newspapers pick up on this, that, we do have an ordinance, and although people may not know it, they must follow the ordinance. And, you have 200 boats, you could have 300 right now of RVs parked in driveways. So I'd like to see a 60-day notification to the people that we know, but still somehow get in the paper, and of course make sure it's up on our website that we have this ordinance, and any further newsletters that we put out. We need to remind some of the residents, especially the seasonals. As it comes out, if we know we have the ordinance against RVs or whatever and boats, we should throw that in there. Always about speeding, of course, in the fall about different other things that happen, ordinances that could pertain to fall-type activities. So, again, I think we need to get this under control somewhat, but again, I'd like to give them some kind of notification first. Thank you.
Mayor, could I ask Trustee Costas one question? In terms of your 60 days, would you be amenable to the 60 days starting on July 1st? Because just thinking about the timing of newsletters and things of that nature, and having to put together letters and things of that nature, if we started the 60 days then we could get everything all nice and lined up and have it go out in a logical way. If we started it tomorrow, it'll be a while before things actually end up in people's mailboxes, and we'll be losing part of that 60 days. So if we could get just a little bit, a couple weeks advance notice, that would be really
I agree.
good.
I mean, we're in a busy time right now with everything happening with coming up. So, start at July 1st. You have 60 days from July 1st. I don't think there's an issue there.
Very good, thank you.
And 60 days is my opinion.
Very good.
The rest of the board members may have another opinion.
Right.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this?
Well,
Trustee Sabo, go right ahead.
Well, I'd just like to know the timing, and just go over that again. When is the newsletter coming out?
Well, I think my big thing about the July 1st situation is that there's a number of ways we're going to communicate this, and not everything can hit the ground running tomorrow. So if we have a date certain of July 1st, then I can have Elena work on stuff that needs to get into the website. We can draft, Joe can work with Elena in drafting a nice article about this. We have one small little space left in the newsletter, which we're going to put an article in about this. And also, John has to, we probably need to go out and take the list that we have and actually redo that list a little bit, because the trouble with that list now is how many months old is it?
It's about 4 months old.
Okay, so it's 4 months old, so things have changed on people's property. So we have that original list, but it would be a very bad thing if we sent out letters based on a 4-month-old list, and then a resident who lived immediately next to someone who got a letter had the same thing today, but didn't get one of those letters. So John is gonna have to spend probably a couple weeks updating that list, so that's going to take some time too. So there's a multitude of reasons why I suggested starting July 1st, because it'll give us time across all those avenues to get things lined up, so it rolls out logically.
I have a question, Mayor.
Hold on, Trustee Suisse. Go ahead, Trustee
I'm just
Sabo.
reacting to the July 1st date, and with all the things that have to be done, and I know the newsletter sometimes is, you think you're ready, and then something else happens, and then it isn't sent out exactly when you want to. I would just like to have a later date than July 1st in order to ensure that the residents get a fair chance.
It would be-
Newsletter is really important communication here.
Right. July 1st would be like the earliest date I would suggest. That's why I offered that up. If you wanted to push that back a little bit farther, that would be even better. Just because I think it will take John a little while to update that list. It took him almost a month to put it together the first time.
Yeah, and that was during a slower period. We have a
Right.
lot of things
We're
going
busier now with weeds and all sorts of stuff. So if you wanted to give us, I'm not talking about like a whole nother month, but if you wanted to give us to like the middle of July or something like that, that would be great too. And the more time we could have, the better.
Well, I think it's only fair to the residents. We don't know how long it's going to take, Joe, to go through all that, but knowing that he has other things to do too, it's consideration, and so that...
Maybe something you could consider is just saying like September 1st, and that's just the date. September 1st is the start of that. We're giving people to September 1st. It's an easily remembered date, easy to communicate, and that might...
I think September 1st to come into compliance would be a reasonable time.
Yeah, that might be good. And then, then certainly if someone is making the case to Joe that they can't come in compliance by September 1st, then that's a hard case for them to make, because that's a considerable amount of time. So that might be, if you guys are agreeable, that might even be better.
Okay, Trustee Suisse.
Thank you, Mayor. The problem I see with starting it in the summer is I see people take their boats away for the summer, launch somewhere. They don't come back until mid-fall. So people that you have on this list is probably more accurate than what you're going to see in the summer.
Right, it's true. I think the letter is going to have to say probably, we've noticed that or in the past, we've noticed that you've stored
right,
on your property, just in case they don't currently. And then, of course, there'll either be a similar letter or maybe just slightly different that would go to the people that have them today when John goes out and looks. But vehicles come and go like every day. When I'm out in the community, I'll notice there's an RV parked and then it's gone and then it's back.
Right, I'm talking about the boats and the
That's why
trailers.
it'll be important to get this out in newsletter so they won't bring their boat back because they'll see this one.
Okay, so the Trustee Sabo is recommending what date?
Well, I didn't recommend a date. I just felt that July 1st was too soon.
Well, why don't you...
Even July, the middle of July, I'd say,
Give me a date so we can say if we're consistent with it or
If you
not.
said to us that people had until September 1st, we would start communicating that actually tomorrow, but in a more organized way. It would really go out in July. There'd be a lot out in July, and that would give people a lot of time. That gives people a lot of time. So September 1st is easy to remember, too.
Okay, is everybody consistent with the September 1st day to notify and to give the residents time to correct their situation?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you've got your marching orders.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes the workshops for tonight. Is there any... You gonna make it there, George?
Yeah, I'll make it. It's just allergies.
Is there any old business?
Yes, I have some old business.
Go right ahead.
It pertains to our meeting last night. and our special meeting last night of Woodbine. And that there were, during that special board meeting, we were seeking input from residents and for their uses and opinions. So we heard many ideas, and we also heard many concerns. And so, in their planning, the village board should continue to address the quality of life issues for the people who live adjacent to the Woodbine property. And there were a number of them there that expressed concerns. And in the subdivisions that surrounded and locations nearby. And I did mention that policy, rules, and regulations should be established before the property is used by anyone, and an evaluation and assessment is needed to develop an overall plan for the 100 acres. And so this takes time in planning, and we don't know exactly how much time that's going to take. But we also heard last night about a company taking care of the grounds to maintain the property. And I believe that more discussion is needed on this subject. If we were to, if the property were to remain a golf course for a specific time, while plans for the property are being developed, the Ludwig family would also be maintaining the grounds and the property would be utilized. So I believe more discussion should take place on keeping the golf course open for a designated period of time.
Thank you. I personally would not support that. We bought the property for $3.3 million. We have needs right now for temporary uses. Nobody's asking to put permanent fixtures on the property. They're asking, taxpayers are asking to use the investment that was made. I would not support a golf course use. I went and got that quote, and last night a number of people asked, well, how can you do it for that price? Well, I showed the quote to everybody in that room. That property could be maintained for $28,900, and that was a quote that was the most reasonable one, and it was by a qualified landscaping company. And for that dollar value, that's the whole 100 acres being maintained. You're looking at approximately $5,000 for chemicals application for the weeds for the season. If you wanted to do it twice, you'd be talking $10,000, so $28,010 is $38,000. For that type of dollar amount, I don't see any reason why we would keep the residents off the golf course, and I don't see any reason why this bleeding heart thing for the Ludwig family keeps popping up. The fact is that us buying the property for $3.3 million from the bank forgave the Ludwig family $4 million. I mean, they've been taken care of here in a very handsome way. Now it's time to take care of the people of Homer Glen. That's my opinion. Okay. Go right ahead, Trustee Yukich.
Well, there's one thing that no one's thought about. First of all, this has to be sent out for bids. And second, with it being a government property, we have to pay prevailing wages, and we don't know what this diamond company does pay.
Do you know, George, we checked that out, and we do not, the law firm checked the prevailing wage. That doesn't apply to cutting grass, whipping. I'll let the village attorney explain.
Yeah, if it was part of a construction project, the landscaping work, then you have to pay prevailing wage. But where it's just, like in this type of situation, it would be purely maintenance, cutting grass, then the prevailing wage act does not apply.
Well, with what Trustee Sable had said, I do agree for at least one more year. No one's going to basically touch it, and I think most of the people last night at the meeting agreed that it's not going to be something they can go and use right away. Myself and Trustee Suisse went out with the sports groups. They showed us what they wanted, and we agree it would be a perfect fit for them. The problem is the area that they want to use it in is part of the drainage, and it was set up special just for the drainage. Now, if you use it, especially for football on a green is bent grass. They go out there one time with cleats on, there will be no grass there. It is going to be mud. That will screw up the water. You know, we always seem to be in such a hurry to do something, And on something as major as this is, we should take our time. It does have to be engineered. There are problems with the water over there. You've heard the neighbors last night. In fact, the one guy that is in charge of the Stallions said that in the last few years, his house has been flooded 4 to 5 times.
He's on the opposite side of where the active side of the recreation would be.
I understand. But the whole point is, we're trying to do right by everybody. Mayor, I do understand that the sports groups need some room, but there is places they can practice for right now. It doesn't mean because we bought this golf course that we have to stop everything and put them on property. All it means is that we're trying to stop taxpayers from coming up with more money. See, a lot of people still don't understand. There's no municipal tax. There's none here. Someone has to pay for all this stuff. If we just drop what they're doing right now, because one gentleman asked the owner's son of the golf course last night, and I understand that you got a bid, but you know, that's just a piece of paper. It doesn't really mean anything.
Really?
No,
It's a contract.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have a contract with anyone if it didn't go out for SUP, or, you know, for...
No, I just investigated it to see what it would take for the village to do it. And when we go out to bid, we have 10 different firms that like to quote jobs for the village. I picked 4 firms out of the 10. I got that quote that was the most reasonable quote. The fact is, here's another reason why I don't believe in any of this stuff. What does the Ludwig family have exclusive rights to be able to run that golf course? Why wouldn't this go out to bid? We're always talking about transparency.
That's fine.
You know, if what do you call it? If somebody's going to use that property, or if the board wishes that it should be used as a golf course for a year, the golf management company should be allowed to bid for that.
Well,
and then the other question is who in the village gets subsidized $3.3 million and gets to use it and doesn't have a financial arrangement with the village with revenue sharing?
Well, he did have one, but you changed that.
I didn't change anything.
You gave him a contract and said, you're in for 1 year, you're out the next year, and you keep the money.
You voted on it.
We voted on,
Wait, the
we
board,
voted
there
on.
was a management agreement that was approved by the board.
All right, but
We all voted.
we were also, we didn't have all the information at the time. And I don't really think it's a good idea I would rather have the owner, and that's what we tried to do in the first place, is have a meeting with Mr. Ludwig and bring him in here. Unfortunately, when we brought Mr. Ludwig in here, the whole sports group was in here. So Mr. Ludwig got to speak for approximately 3 minutes. There's not one trustee on this board that got to ask him one question of why we brought him here in the first place.
You know, I find this very strange that we had 200 people in a room last night, and that was not brought up. Now we have basically nobody in the room, and you want to discuss this.
No, Mayor, you know what? Last night, you said they're going to have their questions, and then if there's something, if they have a question directly to someone, they can answer it. You did.
You know what? We go back to the discussion then. Let's put it on a workshop. Let's put it on a workshop and put everybody back in here and see what they think about the use of the property.
That's what I wanted to do in the first place, but you said, right in the agenda, it said that this is strictly a public comment. We're not supposed to talk. We're supposed to listen to what they want to do.
The agenda, George specifically had on it trustees' comments.
Trustees' comments before, but you didn't, how am I going to comment of what they're asking for if I don't know what they've asked yet?
And you got a chance to rebut. Everybody got a chance to rebut closing statements.
Mayor, you
everybody spoke twice. Go ahead, Trustee.
Mr. Mayor, first of all, I'd like to just say this if I could. And there was a comment made that regarding you, Mr. Mayor, and negotiating a contract. We approved you to go out and pursue. We, as a board, asked you to and bring back information. The information came back. The board, time and time again, approved it, we voted on it, and we went forward based on the information that was presented in front of us, and any and all questions were asked and answered that may have been at hand from each and every trustee had that opportunity. I believe right now we're going through a situation that it's actually really to obfuscate the whole subject. At hand, we as a community bought this place to make it a public property, government building, a park for all of Homer Glen residents, not just a special interest group that may have a hobby, but for all residents, young and old, from grandparents to grandchildren. If you look at the definition of what a park is, we're always trying to come up with a grandiose scheme and interject our expert opinions on things, because we become an expert on everything. Just ask us. We'll tell you we're experts on everything. Now we want to be experts on park planning. It's a park. It's grass. Look at the Merriam's Dictionary of what a park is. It has grass, it has trees, it has a walking path, it has a pond, it has what I like to call a little sand playpen that I always end up in. So it has a sandbox. It's a park today for recreation, active and passive recreation. If you look on national websites, on realtors, they always talk about property values and how parks accentuate property values in a community. When you talk about real estate agents and national organizations, they also talk about youth programs, the strength of youth programs in a community, and how it enhances a community in all levels, from social and economics. So when we're here trying to obfuscate something and try to give back something back to a person, unfortunately, they found themselves in a position, and we bought it, didn't force it to happen, but we bought it for the public. It's a good thing. Let's not obfuscate it, as I said before, and change it into a negative. It's a park. It has grass. It has trees. It has a walking path for passive and active recreation today, tomorrow, and the next day, without doing a darn thing to it. As far as the bailouts, unfortunately, I had a neighbor was foreclosed on. Next time I hear of a house foreclosed on, Mayor, I want this village to buy that house and give it back to the people.
No.
That's exactly.
I don't have to.
That's exactly what we're attempting to do.
You're done. You're dancing. You're just dancing.
That's not dancing. These are fact-based.
Hold on, he has
This is
the
a
floor, George.
fact-based.
You can say next.
I brought up fact-based situations. And that's all to it. Whether you agree on it, respectfully agree or disagree, it's an opinion I have. I'm sorry, at this point in time, I can't create any headway to change that opinion, or look for see any headway to change that opinion.
Okay, Trustee Costa wanted to say something.
Mr. Mayor, I think we can debate this issue until the park is outdated. We have not come up with any kind of dialogue to direct legal counsel to contact Mr. Ludwig officially and see if he's willing to, if he wants to keep it as a golf course, and what fees he is willing, or if he thinks he can pay. There's taxes on the property, there's maintenance on the property. We have to protect the interests of the community in that, can he put money in escrow so that no matter what, there's money there in case something happens next year. We don't know what's going to happen in 6 months from now. If there's money there for us to take it over if something does happen. So right now, we can debate this, but we have not officially had any correspondence with Mr. Ludwig to see what his intentions are and what he can do or can't do on the property.
Well, yes, we actually did, because George talked to me about it. George went to him and talked to him, and the agreement that we were working on that is that if anything, it would be 9 holes, and Mr. Ludwig came back and said he couldn't make money as a 9-hole golf course. Now we're back to, which I'm very surprised, I thought this was resolved, we're back to an 18-hole golf course. Now the next question is, after that, is where with this 18-hole golf course is his office going to be?
Trailer. That's what I discussed with you before. Here, I have one question, because I never actually had an opportunity to finish what I was saying before.
Go ahead.
But I do have one question. Why did we have to buy the golf course before January 1st, which that's what you had told us? Why did we have to buy it?
It was the bank's drop dead date.
That was not the bank's drop dead date.
Yes, it was.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
You know-
I respectfully
Go ahead.
disagree, but here, the whole point of it is, we are taking something that is beautiful, it's nice to look at, all the people that are surrounding it would like to keep looking at it. We cannot maintain it without coming up with taxpayer money to do this. We have to find out where we're getting the money in the first place to do anything here. A park is not going to be cheap. Mayor, in one meeting you said we have $10 million we can put into this. And that, from my understanding, doesn't come close to doing what the sports groups want. When we sat down with them, they say they want turf fields for football. You're looking at anywhere from $500,000 to $700,000 for each field, just for grass. And that's if you're buying good grass. If you're not buying good grass, you can get it cheaper, but you're going to be replacing it a few different times. If that's the case, now you're putting lights in there. So now you've got a problem with the neighbors around there. We still haven't had a chance to really, last night you had some people ask some questions, but afterwards they came up and they asked a million more. We still should bring Mr. Ludwig in here. That's what we all said we were going to do in the first place, and he got shot down the night that he did come in here. So I agree with what Trustee Costa just said. I would suggest that the mayor and the law firm gets together, gets a hold of Mr. Ludwig. We set up an appointment to where he can come in here. It would be an open meeting. Anyone that wanted to come in could come in. We can find out, honestly, why some of this stuff is being pushed. I don't want the taxpayers having to pay for this. I want to give everyone time to be able to understand. This is going to be millions of dollars to get this thing done. There is no engineering whatsoever done on this property. We haven't gotten the village hall done. We're worried about so much that we can't do anything about right now, and I don't understand it. You know, Trustee Kajanis, you said a few minutes later, everyone gets to use this park. We had a police officer come up there last night and said, when you have a park that's non-active and you're going to be doing something, you are going to have a lot of problems with kids. And I understand it, because you know what? I was a kid. We did that kind of stuff. You got inside the cemeteries, you got inside the parks, and you partied. That's what they're going to be doing here. And if we don't have anyone back there taking care of this thing, we're not even going to know what's going on in this park. We're rushing into everything here. We are going way too fast. All I'm asking for is to bring Mr. Ludwig in here, talk to him, see if he wants to finish out a contract, which he legally had 2 years to stay in there. Because when the property was sold, the contract goes with the property. He was not informed of that. He never got a chance to do 2 years. And the only reason he got a chance to do 1 year is because we had banquets, or he had banquets set up there, and he didn't want to disappoint any brides or whoever's having a party, because it's not that easy to find something in a few minutes. So
He couldn't have kept the I hate to interrupt, but I want to follow up on the thought. He couldn't have kept the contract, and all they wanted at that time at the closing was the management agreement to operate the club for 1 more year because they had banquets.
Well, that's not the way it's explained to me from Mr. Ludwig.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. Wait,
Get him in here
I
and
want
let
to
him
finish,
sit
because
and tell us.
everything gets all screwed up. All I'm asking to do is get Mr. Ludwig in here, to ask him a few questions, to have the opportunity for him to be able to speak his piece. He's never, ever had that chance. Everything that was done, the mayor came and asked us, can I do this, can I do this, can I do this? And at the time, we were told that there were some builders that might be interested in the property, and we didn't want to lose it. And as a board, it's 100% right. We did not want to lose the property. We bought this property for a very good price. Where I'm having an issue, though, is I would like, what I wish I would have done is I wish I would have gone to Mr. Ludwig before we did any of this, just to ask a couple questions. Because I'm getting a totally different story from him. So I want the opportunity, and I think that this whole board should have the opportunity to have Mr. Ludwig in front of us, ask him a few questions, and then for fair, if he wants it, then it's our decision whether we do it or not. If he doesn't want it, it's a dead issue. Then we just got to figure who's paying for it. It's as simple as that.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to answer one thing factually, because whether it's a park or not a park, That doesn't make any difference to me. That's for all of you to decide on behalf of the residents. Mr. Ludwig's, he had several entities that were involved with the park, when involved with the golf course. We bought the golf course from one entity. We had to cancel the contract with the other entity because of potential real estate tax issues with this property. Instead, he had a management agreement, the village had a management agreement with the Ludwigs to run the course in 2014. That is all they asked for, and it wasn't pushed down anybody's throat. Mr. and Mrs. Ludwig were represented by a very competent real estate attorney at the transaction, and that was a fair negotiation between, two parties that was approved by the village board. That's all they asked for, and they told me at the closing, the reason they wanted a management agreement was because they had banquets set up for weddings and bridal showers, and they didn't want to leave those girls high and dry.
Okay, and then to clarify one other thing here, is that the sports pros that are in dire need of space to practice because they're squatting everywhere, going to other towns, they are not asking for anything to be changed out there. They're asking for a space of that property to use, which, when you look at it, a couple of holes, the first hole, I believe, is 500 yards or thereabouts. That's 5 football fields. So between lacrosse, soccer, football, baseball, you give them 3-4 holes, and you've accommodated them, and they're not asking for anything. They're not asking for anything. Just cut the grass. It's a park. We paid for it. There shouldn't be any exclusive deals with any one individual. The taxpayers deserve to be on this property. Trustee DeVivo?
I'm in favor of bringing Ludwig in here because I feel like I've been left out of the conversation, that he's told Trustee Yukich one thing, he's told Trustee Sweez another thing, and he's told me something else. When I spoke to him, he was okay with this whole process, and he was looking forward to retiring, and now suddenly we've stolen his property. I think this is ridiculous, and when we do bring him in, I absolutely want to know the sequence of events that happened, because all of us sat in executive session and all agreed to direct the mayor to do what he did. We didn't turn around and say, oh, well, I feel sorry for him at that time. And don't forget, the property was valued less than what we even thought it should be valued at. Do you really think that if Ludwig would have held on to this property for another year to 2 years, he'd have made up $4 million? I don't think so.
He was actually dropping into bankruptcy. We bought it in front of it. That was what the bank agreed to. The bank said that if it could be marketed for this price, we would negotiated a better price. Their original price was 3.6. We had this discussion about what we were going to offer. I went back to you and said the bank's final offer is this. You all said, in your words, George, we need to buy it. We need to buy it. Okay, now we have it. The golf needs to end. It needs to go away. We have needs for the community. The community is not asking for any changes to that property at this point in time. They are asking for access to it for temporary use as we work on this plan that I agree with everybody is going to take a period of time. I do not agree when I can get that grass cut for $28,900. We're not going to spend $28,900 on the kids of this community, but we'll loan Ludwig $3.3 million. This is lunacy.
Who said anything about loaning him $3.3 million?
We bought the property.
Excuse me.
It's our property, not his.
Excuse me.
I'm answering your question.
No one said anything about buying, giving Mr. Ludwig $3.3 million. I would like to say something, and the reason that I brought this up. There might be needs for some groups, and there are needs for other groups, and there are needs for individuals, but we as a board here can't pick and choose certain groups to be on that property. And it is unfair because we said we didn't have a plan yesterday. And today we're saying there is a plan. This is something that wasn't told to the audience yesterday. And we can't favor one group or an individual over another. One group is going to play on there, then somebody else wants to play on there, then somebody else wants to play. We're not ready for this. This is not a park. This is a golf course. It remains a golf course until it is changed. And because of the way that the drainage is, it is not flat. There's a lot of sprinklers there. There's a lot of underground hoses for the sprinklers. And anybody that is going to play on this kind of surface, hard play, whatever it is, it is going to ruin what is there now, and they will not have the playing field that they think that they should have. And pretty soon, we're going to be repairing it so that the group can play again. And this is wrong. We're going to be spending more money to repair it. In the meantime, it's still a golf course. It's slanted as a golf course. It drains as a golf course. And it's not ready to be used as a park. Just because there are trees there, just because there's grass or bushes, there have to be rules in place for anybody to use it. And after we had this meeting, we were showing how fair we were to people. Now we're saying some groups can play on it. That's not being fair to the community. And he did say, I did ask him, and he did say that he was interested in continuing as a golf course. It's a safe thing to do because otherwise there is no security. He is the security for this property. Do we want to have more problems? Do we want this policeman? I'm glad he was there because he said there could be problems if it's not utilized. And if it's not ready to be utilized, we shouldn't have it, anyone use it. I don't care who they are. And then one group wants it, another group wants it. The reason that I am bringing this up is because having it run as a golf course is a security. It's a security for us as a village. It's security for the people that live around there. And it's a business. He knows how to run it. All we have to do is have him continue to do it for a specific period of time while we are laying our plans. But if you have some people going on it now, then they think they own it. Now, that's not true. I don't care if it's Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts. I'm using this land. I'm entitled to it now. No, that's not right. And so let's be fair to everybody, and let's just remain a golf course. He's willing to do it, and there's no reason why he shouldn't. People still want to play there. And we are not in a good light because of the people who regret having to leave that property, having regret to not play golf there anymore. The comments are, we've heard there are a lot of golf courses. Well, they want to play there. And this helps us in the meantime because he would be maintaining it. And he also, there's also a lot of things that have to be worked out. But it is the worst thing that we could do is to just have it maintained and say some groups can play and you can go on there and so forth. And then
the entire community once again to discuss temporary use of the fields, okay?
Wait a minute.
Is everybody
July 15th
consistent with that?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's July 8th.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
it's July
oh.
8th.
July 8th.
July 8th.
July 8th.
That's fine.
Are you going to be in town for that?
Gee, it won't open. I'll have
You're
to
not?
let you know.
You're not going to be in town?
No.
Make it the following July.
Okay.
I'll be in town on the 8th.
All right, we're going to be missing a trustee.
Unless I
What's the next one?
figure something
July
out.
what?
July 8th or July 22nd is your next meeting. The 15th is the one in between where you don't typically meet.
Well, the
Mr. Mayor,
problem,
we'll talk about it. I'll look at my calendar
The
again.
20, I'll be here on the 22nd.
I'll be
Can-
here on the 20th. I'm okay on the 22nd.
because we have vacations planned and stuff like this, and this is sort of popping up, and we have events planned that have to be taken for. Can everybody agree with, what date is that?
July
22nd.
22nd.
July 22nd. Is that fine with everybody?
Yeah.
It'll give ample time to notify the public. Okay.
Well, we should have, again, this should have been notified to the public months and months ago to correct some of the problems that we have here. And we didn't. I've asked for meetings since the middle of December, when we first started talking about this, to get the...
It doesn't.
It does make a difference, because his...
We've had how many meetings?
Marcia-
I don't mean to interrupt you, but come on. This is really a subject this board has to discuss. all the people that we've asked to come to these meetings and give their input, they have. And they've all told us.
Except for the one person that's most important. He never got to say anything, except that he would like to keep it.
He had public comment. He got up in public comment. He said his piece.
No,
He did not say his piece. He got bashed from the time he walked in here until the time he got out. The poor man's sitting back there and they're telling him just because he ran his business crappy, which wasn't the case.
No.
well, that's exactly what happened.
all right,
Excuse me.
Okay,
make a motion to adjourn.
Wait a second, I think that comment,
I second.
I think that comment
Hold on,
is very
hold on.
insulting
Motion
to this board.
Very insulting to this board, because that was not ever displayed, and I believe it was an insulting comment.
That was.
And I will not tolerate those type of comments at all.
Okay, I'm going to get this meeting back under control. Okay, that'll conclude old business.
I have not
And we're-
finished my comment. I wanted to finish a comment.
Go ahead.
We'll leave and you can finish.
You know, everybody can interrupt. I don't like that. Let the person speak. It just seems now that we're going to have a lot of time here to advertise this, and all we want to do is talk to Mr. Ludwig and find out what he wants. Now we're going to be inviting the public, and we're going to have the public can come anytime, but now we're going to advertise it, and we're going to say, you know, we're going to discuss the use of the golf course again. You know, this is something that this board should be discussing with Mr. Ludwig.
Our meetings are all open.
They are open.
They are open.
But you don't have to, people know they can come. You don't have to say, come and listen to poor Mr. Ludwig. He lost his golf course, and Trustee Yukich wants him to be able to keep it.
Okay, let's set the date.
I think this is set up. I think this is a way to set up Mr. Ludwig, and I don't feel that that's right. And I do feel that all we need to do is talk to him. Do we have to? You know, we should have spent a whole lot of time advertising for this last meeting yesterday. Instead, we're doing even more to set up Mr. Ludwig. We're going to give him a lot of time.
Nobody's trying to set him up.
The room will be packed here.
Nobody's trying to set up
Mr.
Ludwig. Nobody's setting Mr. Ludwig. You are accusing us of things that we're not guilty of, Margaret. And I will not stand here and sit for this.
I am not accusing you, but I am saying, I want my say.
You set the workshop up, put it on the agenda, and old business is over with. Is there any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
First by Trustee DeVivo, second by Trustee K. Janis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries, we're adjourned.